Well, already a few days before week 18 in the NFL, and the Seahawks opponents have already been decided. Two of them are still waiting to be decided, but what are my thoughts on the matchups coming up in next season? Let's talk football. All right, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the All Around Sports Podcast, where sports are everything on this channel. I'm your host, Antonio. Today, we are doing my 2025-2026 Seahawks opponents release reaction and thoughts. But recently, as of a few hours, a pal of mine, shout out to CJ for sending me this, he sent a schedule that the Seahawks have had as of recent hours. I'm going to pull it up on the screen. So, not only will it be the same thing as division rivals normally are, but also a few things have changed as the Seahawks will be facing AFC North and AFC South and NFC South opponents next year, as it'll be Houston, Indianapolis at home, Tennessee and Jacksonville on the road, and then also along with the Atlanta Falcons and Carolina Panthers on the road, then the Saints and Bucks at home, along with going on the road into DC to take on the Commanders. Then the NFC North and AFC North opponents are waiting to be decided as of the end of this week. So the NFC North opponent will be the team that loses the Vikings versus Lions game on Sunday night next week. And then the AFC North opponent will be the second place finisher between Pittsburgh and Baltimore, which I would love Pittsburgh, by the way. But the question is, what are my thoughts on this schedule? So we know that the schedule has not officially been released yet, but we now get a kind of a good picture on who some of the opponents are going to be next year for the Seattle Seahawks. But I'm going to get into that here in just a minute. Before we get started, if you guys do enjoy this video, please be sure to do me a favor and smash that like button down below. I cover everything Seattle Seahawk and everything around the entire NFL, along with NBA, NHL, and MLB. I'll get to NHL and NBA as soon as the NFL season is over. So, yeah, but that's going to be another topic for another day. But for now, let's talk about this schedule. I really like this schedule. I'm very excited about some of these games, and some of them I'm a little nervous about. I'm gonna pull them up again so you all can see. The ones I am pretty excited about is the one at home versus Houston. Ever since I saw CJ Stroud get in the league, I was wondering when my team would go against them. And now it's going to be that case. And then another home game I'm pretty excited about is Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield has been on a hot roll, but he's not played in Seattle for some time since his days back in Cleveland. But also, another game I'm pretty excited about, which I think could go either way, is the one against the New Orleans Saints. I personally never underestimate the Saints whenever we go against them because I do not ever underestimate the Saints. And then some of the road games I am excited about is the one again against Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons, the Seahawks faced off in Atlanta last year. They ended up blowing the doors off of Atlanta. And now maybe Michael Penix could be the starter for them next year, depending on what happens with Kirk Cousins. But then also another one I'm very excited about is the Jaguars. The Jaguars, they were kind of an upsetting team last year, and I do expect them to get a lot better. And then another one I'm pretty excited about is the Washington Commanders. The Commanders, I believe they are one of the scariest teams in the league, and I believe they're going to take over the NFC as far as like a dark horse. And then another one is the Carolina Panthers. I do like the way that Bryce Young looked against some of the better teams like Kansas City and Philly. We'll see what they can do against Seattle because we know that the Carolina Panthers and Seattle Seahawks have had a rivalry back when Cam Newton was their quarterback. But another one of the two others that I'm excited about have ones that have not been decided yet. The NFC North and AFC North. So personally, what I would like is a rematch against Minnesota. We saw in week 16 that that was a really close matchup, and it went down to the wire against the Vikings. I would be so excited if we play them again next year. Although our rivalry against the Lions is just cooking up, I am not wanting to face the Lions right now. But and then there's the AFC North. Personally, I would prefer Pittsburgh because the Ravens, they dominate the NFC. So personally, I would like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Maybe Russell Wilson gets re-signed to the Steelers, and maybe it would be a revenge game part two. We know that Russell Wilson went on the road to Seattle against when he was a part of the Denver Broncos. This will be part two, but this time on the road in Pittsburgh. But other than that, I do believe the division is going to be very, very tough to win this upcoming year. We already saw how tough it was this year. And the thing I'm looking at is the Cardinals. Cardinals, I've still not been sold on them ever since they were considered to be a dark horse. Because unless they beat Seattle, I will not be sold on them until then. And then the ones against the Rams, I believe those are going to all be very, very close games, as any division rivalry is going to be. The 49ers, they are going to be sort of a question mark next year because you've got Kyle Shanahan's job up in the water. You got Brock Purdy not looking like himself that we saw from last season. Of course, with all the injuries, but even when players were healthy, they still couldn't beat the Lions. But other ones that I might have some concerns about is the ones I do believe are going to be very hard to win, and I do believe are going to be very close, is both the AFC North and NFC North opponents, depending on who that is, and then also along with the Falcons, Commanders, Texans, and Bucks. Those four are going to be very must-watch games, and we don't know which ones are going to be on prime time yet. So personally, a suggestion I would have for prime time would be put the Houston Texans and Seahawks on prime time because that game is going to be really good. I believe the defense of Seattle is going to get better throughout the offseason. They're going to go after some guys in the draft and also free agency. Maybe look at getting another quarterback, which I'll be doing two separate videos on those later on in the month and later on in the offseason. But as far as right now, I'm not going to give out a record prediction yet, but it's getting really close. I really like this schedule. I do believe some of the games are going to be harder than others, but I really like the way the schedule looks and lots of very intriguing games coming up in 2025. Let me know on your thoughts of the schedule. What is your reaction to this opponent release? Of course, the schedule is not set up yet. This is just a little preview of who some of the opponents are going to be. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to do me a favor and smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Till next time, I'll see you all in the next one. Ciao for now.